The shoot 'em up genre comes in all shapes and sizes, with a good chunk of them leaving heavily on typical sci-fi stylings. However, Platypus Reclayed from Claymatic is a little bit different. It immediately stood out to me due to its kind of unconventional visual flair, opting to break the mold, probably literally, of many a shmup and kind of present itself with a unique look. Rather than flashing lights and chrome aplenty, it opts for a much more kind of tangible feel, with pretty much everything you see in the game made from real clay. And this delightfully kind of out of step, handmade aesthetic is brimming with charm. But this reclayed version that we're looking at today is not actually the first outing for this claymation shooter. The game originally launched as simply Platypus for the PC in the early 2000s. And this initial kind of 2002 release offered players a kind of fun and challenging horizontal shooter with an admittedly unusual yet appealing look. And now, over 20 years later, the game is back, having been faithfully reworked and, as the title suggests, reclayed. You see, all of the in-game clay models you see whilst playing have been created by hand. That means each ship, enemy, explosion, tree, skyscraper, and more has been sculpted once again out of real clay and then photographed for use in-game. The result is a striking visual style that feels cohesive, tactile, and surprisingly refreshing. The first time I booted up Platypus Reclayed and kind of got into the opening level, I found myself quickly grinning at the kind of charming aesthetics of it all. Firing out some bullets and watching them travel across the screen and colliding with one of a handful of spaceships that are kind of like twirling towards me is delightful. The enemies explode in this kind of like captivating animated boom. However, I quickly found out there was no time to actually just hang around and admire the scenery, as before long, Platypus Reclayed was throwing wave after wave of flying saucers and various spacecraft at me, tasking me with dispatching them at speed. Over the course of 5 levels, each with its own set of like 5 areas, you'll journey across sky, land, and sea, taking on a solid variety of enemies, all of which present their own kind of satisfying challenge in terms of understanding their flight patterns, their firing patterns, and the speed at which they're going to come at you, along with kind of how to ultimately approach with dealing each of them. And you'd be mistaken for allowing this kind of game's endearing facade to fool you into thinking that this shoot 'em up would be less of a challenge than your average shmup. Make no mistake though, Platypus Reclayed packs a meaty challenge. Now, I'm a fairly casual shmup player admittedly, so thankfully there are 3 levels of difficulty options at hand here. You've got easy, normal, and nasty. These settings let you tailor the game to match your familiarity with shoot 'em ups to the experience on offer, and I tried all of them and found enjoyment in the base normal mode. It took me plenty of attempts and retries to see everything that this game has to offer, but I had a blast doing it, making each attempt cleaner than the last and chipping my way through the gauntlet ahead of me. And despite this game only having like a handful of levels, I sunk the best part of like 10 to 12 hours into Reclayed, learning all the kind of enemy arrangements, which power-ups work best in any kind of given situation, and how best to progress onto the next level. There's a real arcade vibe running through Platypus Reclayed, and that's kind of something that's made inherently obvious thanks to the 2-player co-op mode. At any point during gameplay, a second person can jump in and help take down a few UFOs. And this ability to drop in whenever is a nice touch, and may well prove handy when wanting a little extra firepower. And look, pulling someone in to help clear a level is a totally legitimate strategy. On the whole, this is a solid, well-made, and overall appealing arcadey horizontal shooter. It looks great, plays well, and presents a real tough challenge. Veterans of shmups will find a knotty trial in the nasty mode, whereas newcomers will find an approachable and super fun-looking shooter at the easier settings. Now, it's not a game I was familiar with prior to playing this faithful remake, but some 22 years on, I'm glad to see it reintroduced and reworked so that modern audiences, including those on consoles, can enjoy the experience on offer. Platypus Reclayed is a welcome return for what is essentially a one-of-a-kind shmup. It offers a clever blend of tactile charm and classic arcade challenge. And playing with clay has never been this much fun, clearly. Platypus Reclayed is available on the Switch and Switch 2 now. It should set you back about $15. Yeah, I had real fun with it. So that's all from me today. If you've liked this video, please do drop a like on it and let me know if you're going to pick this one up in the comments below. But other than that, I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers!